usually do 6 months.
Okay. I didn't know if you already had a freeze filled
You
in.
know, I don't know if it is or not, come to think of it.
Are
It
we
used to be.
filling those and offered purchases out basically by pen, or do we do the offer purchase on DocuSign?
Actually, if you're doing this if you're doing this in this presentation, it's hand,
Okay.
all right? Because it's here, it's ready to go.
There's not an offer in that.
There is not. If you're doing it with the offer, where it should be signed is in the consultation, right?
But if you're doing it with the offer,
It's all on DocuSign.
okay.
But ideally, you bring them into the office, you do a consultation, you ask them to hire you by signing this, you go over this and make a copy and send the copy with them. Now you're hired. Now go to work, right?
How much detail do you get in with the buyer just so you're doing it right? Can you go into that?
I would probably go over this very similar to what I do in the offer to purchase, which is
Pretty quick.
pretty quick and upside down. So one of the things you want to do is,
Real quick, offer to purchase, after you had everything like filled out, you do that upside down?
I do everything upside down, but I know my forms. I don't know these forms that well. I mean, I don't even look at them anymore. But you want to know them so well that they can sit right there and you can do them upside down, because that is where they have tons of confidence. If you have to do this and then this, they're kind of wondering. They may not say anything, they may not know, but they sure know the difference when you can just go boom, boom, boom. And when you're doing it upside down like this, they're going to go a lot faster because they feel like, okay, yeah, she can read upside down. She knows this stuff, right? I got 8 pages to listing contract. Boom, boom, boom. It didn't take me long at all to go through a listing contract. But, and what I do on a listing contract, I always have their name and I'll say, on this form, let me go over it. There's 5 pages, but I won't take too long and bore you to death, I promise. It's pretty simple. You, there's your name, are hiring me to represent you in a purchase of a home anywhere in North Carolina. I am compensated by the seller, not through you. It's completely free. Unless you decide to buy it for sale by owner, then we got to work that out, usually in the transaction. But everything I'm going to be showing you is going to be on MLS, so there'll be nothing. This is the standard commission that I get paid out of this, as I showed you on the presentation. We do share that with the company, of course. I'm not even sure what comes next, actually. That's pretty bad. We have to let the buyer agent show you this. But, basically you go over, this says what my duties are to you, which is obviously to represent you and be fair and disclose all material facts. And so anything and everything I know about a property, you can bet I'm going to share it with you. This probably has proration and adjustments like a listing contract does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in a...
I don't have my glasses on to read it. This document is for 6 months.
Those 3 at the top are going to be...
This is the main page, right? This is, you're hiring me. If they're buying new construction and they're going to build, I'd probably do it for a year. If they're just, regular shopping, I'd probably in 6 months. And here's what I'd probably say with that. You're agreeing to allow me to represent you in the purchase of a home. I've written in here 6 months. It better not take me 6 months to find you a great home, or you'll probably be upset with me. But that's pretty much the standard that we see on these things. And I would play it down, make some joke about the time, because it's a commitment. People are scared of commitments, so make it easy, make it a joke. So say home warranty. If you buy new construction, you're going to get a warranty. If you buy resale, we're going to be asking for a home warranty. This just talks about how we can always ask for one. And my general rule is I always suggest that we negotiate and get you one for the seller. When you get to the dual agency, the way that I explain it is they would sign this top line, initial this top line, they initial the bottom. On the listing, I say, when you initial the top line, you are saying that anyone on my team can show your home and represent the buyer. And when you initial here, you are designating me to be your exclusive agent, and the other agent can represent the buyer. So there's always 2, right? Agents representing their clients. So if you'll just initial here on the top line, I'll highlight everything in yellow so they don't have to, I always have a highlighter with me, already pre-highlight it all. And then initial here. And I don't get into a lot of detail, I go fast. If somebody says, wait a minute, I thought you didn't do dual agency. It's true that I personally do not. I'm going to represent you as your designated exclusive agent. But the firm, Linda Craft and Team, just like Howard Payne Walston and Allen Tate and Remax and everybody else, the firm, the company name, they are always in dual agency because they represent both buyers and sellers here. So upstairs in their office, where they keep all that paperwork locked up, they got buyer contracts like this one, and they got seller contracts. That firm's got a dual responsibility. That's why they call it dual agency. Does that make sense? All right, just initial right here, initial here. I think of it as an umbrella. The firm is the umbrella because they represent both buyers and sellers. We represent sellers here. We represent buyers here, obviously. So as a firm, as a company, but inside that umbrella, we got two people sharing that umbrella. We got the buyer agent, we got the listing agent, I'm the buyer agent. So you're designating me to be able to do that for you. And then you get to sign and fill out all that mess. What I usually do is I highlight where they need to sign, and then I come back and fill in this later. It doesn't have to be filled in because you've got it on the other sheet. However, this is a wonderful tool if you've got two single people living in two different places and you didn't get all their phone numbers on the other sheet. You're going to get it all right here because they feel like they got to fill it out. So it's not a bad thing to go ahead and get it filled out, to have a backup. The other thing I would always ask them if they're a couple is who you should call first to deliver information. So who's your primary contact is what you want to find out. Because sometimes you'll just naturally gravitate maybe to the husband when the wife is calling all the shots. The husband's busy, doesn't want your calls or texts. She'd rather go through the wife. And then, I would mark with a little star who the primary contact was, just so you can constantly remember who it was that they wanted you to go through first. Some will say, I want to be copied on everything, which usually they do, but I would ask that question. I would ask them on this, you'll see something about how you like to be contacted. What's your preferred method of communication? Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to text you? Do you want me to email you? You might as well communicate to them in a way that they want. If there's anything important to deliver where people might take it the wrong way, it's best to get them on the phone, and it's best to get them both on the phone at the same time if you can. But you want to read through this, and you do not have to go over everything on this contract, explaining everything about it. But the things that are important that they would say, you didn't tell me about that. I had no idea what I was signing. You better hit that. But a lot of this stuff is, and if it's something like you get to a page which is just really nothing but stuff, which is what I have on the listing contract, I might say something like this. And the rest of this is legalese. It says you're in your sound mind and you actually have a brain in your head to buy a house, or, I'll make a joke. I don't usually talk to them about how they can cancel it. I don't talk to them about any of that kind of stuff, because why even raise a flag about canceling? They're not going to cancel. If they absolutely will not sign this, but they want you to go out and show houses to them all day, I would sign it for 1 day. Okay? So you say, I understand that you don't want to commit to me for 6 months. We've got several homes today that you would like to view. So what I'd like to ask is that we sign this just for 1 day. And at the end of the day, if you like me and I like you, I'll ask you if you might give me some more time to work with you. How does that sound? And usually they'll do 1 day. If you get them to do 1 day, you'll get them to do 1 month or 6 months. It's just that first initial. If they sign it for 1 day, don't make them do a whole nother form. You cross through that date, and you add the new date, and just get them to initial and date the change. That way you don't have to do a whole new form. But it's a good close, anytime they won't commit to something big, get them to commit to something small that's easy for them to emotionally process. I was at a listing appointment this past week. They were talking to, I think she said 4 or 5 realtors. They'd already talked to 3 others before me, and they had 2 more to go. That's what it was. And so I could tell they really liked me, and so of course I had to close because that's what I do. And I'm like, well, so, based on everything that you've heard so far, would you like to hire me to represent you in the sale of your home? And they kind of looked at each other, no, we've got 2 more people to talk to. I'm like, I understand, but if you wanted to hire me, we could go ahead and get started on all this, and you could cancel those appointments. Just think how much time you would save. If you're getting ready to go to the beach, why don't we get this thing done right now? What do you say? And they're like, no, I'm like, okay, well, I had to ask at least twice because I'm a great salesperson. So I understand. You want to think about it. Let me give you a couple more things to think about as you go. I was just, I didn't close any harder. I tried twice, and they said no. And then they said to me, of the people that they said, thank you very much. I know you had to ask me, and I appreciate that, but thank you very much for not putting so much pressure on me. We had one agent that put so much pressure on us that by the time we finally got him out of the door, I was just like so tense, I would never hire him. And it was like, we appreciate that you closed, but we're glad you didn't close any harder or you'd be out. You're still in, basically, is what they said, right? So anyway, you definitely have to ask, you definitely have to close, but you also have to know when to back off. Anytime you're filling out any kind of contract, if the line is going to be blank, don't leave it blank. Put NA, or if it's supposed to be a number, put 0. But don't leave it blank, because that opens you up for you to fill in something else later on and say, hey, it was done. No, it's not. It's just take away any possibility of anybody ever suspecting that you left that blank for a reason, because everyone is skeptical, and they remain skeptical, thank you, until they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And then it all goes away. But they're going to be.
They had a C course on the new contracts a couple years ago, and they were saying, don't put anything in there. And I'm going, I always put NA. Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to leave any blank. So when you get to this one, compensation, and it's blank, for a long time we had $350 there, and we would cross it out and then initial it, because we never charged it. Well, it's basically a transaction fee, and we had in there, we took it away so that we could already show up front that we were giving you something of value, that sometimes we charge this, but we're not charging it for you. But because we never really charged it, we finally just made our life easy and took it away. But there was a time when there were so many people thinking about relocating here, and Austin, and Charlotte, and Nashville. They'd come into town, and you would show them around forever, burn up your gas, and then they'd end up going somewhere else. And so we started charging them $350 for us to tour them around and show them the area, because your time is worth something, and your gas and everything else. And so we would explain it when we took it out. This is a fee that we would charge someone if they were just, coming in town, looking at homes for a day, but not serious about buying. But you're serious about buying, so we're not charging this. See how it would work? But we ended up, the team decided, you know what, it's just one more thing to explain, and we got so much, let's just take it out.
Right.
So we did that. But I'd still put 0 there. If you feel very certain that they are going to sign with you when they walk in the door, I'd have it all filled out, ready to go, and highlighted.